There are moments in life when something feels different. Not loud, not obvious, but undeniable. A shift in the air, a strange stillness before something unseen begins to move. And if you are hearing this right now, then you have already stepped into one of those moments. This is not coincidence. This is not just another message passing through your screen. This is a divine interruption, precise, intentional, and timed to meet you exactly where you are. Archangel Michael is speaking, and his voice carries urgency. He is saying, do not ignore this moment. Do not treat this lightly. For what is coming tonight has already been written in the books of heaven. You may not understand it yet. You may not see how it connects. But something hath been set into motion long before this day arrived. Decisions you made months ago, prayers you whispered when no one else was listening, moments where you almost gave up but didn't. All of it has been building toward this exact point in time. July 29th is not just a date. It is a marker, a line drawn in the spirit between what has been and what is about to begin. And here is what makes this even more unsettling. You may have already felt it. That strange pull in your spirit. That sudden urge to pause, to reflect, to question why things have been so delayed. That quiet thought that something is about to change, even if you couldn't explain how. That is not your imagination. That is alignment. Because heaven had been preparing something behind the scenes while you were living your everyday life. While you were worrying about bills, questioning your financial stability, wondering why opportunities seemed just out of reach, something unseen hath been moving in your favor. But here is the part that will stop you in your tracks. Why now? Why tonight? Why you? Archangel Michael reveals something that most people never realize. There are moments when divine timing accelerates. Moments when what was delayed suddenly rushes forward. Moments when years of waiting collapse into a single encounter. And tonight is one of those moments. A courier is being sent. Not symbolic, not imaginary, but a real, tangible moment of delivery. It may not look the way you expect. It may not arrive in the form you've been praying for. But it will carry something undeniable. A message, a sign, a connection. An opportunity, something that directly touches your financial path. And this is why you must pay attention. Because most people miss it. They brush it off. They overthink it. They delay their response. They fail to recognize the weight of the moment standing right in front of them. But you were warned. You were prepared. You were positioned to recognize it when it comes. And still, there is a question echoing in your spirit right now. What if this is real? What if tonight is not ordinary? What if this is the moment everything begins to shift? What if the struggle you've been carrying is about to meet its turning point? Archangel Michael is not asking you to be afraid. He's asking you to be ready. Ready to observe. Ready to listen. Ready to respond without hesitation. Because when heaven moves, it does not repeat itself for those who were not paying attention. And something else is being revealed right now. There has been resistance around your finances. Patterns that didn't make sense. Delays that felt unnatural. Opportunities that almost worked but didn't. That was not random. That was interference. But tonight that interference is being broken. A message is coming that will interrupt the pattern. A message that will shift your direction. A message that carries the beginning of something you have been waiting for far longer than you realize. So do not dismiss this. Do not scroll past this moment in your life. Because while others continue in distraction, you have been called into awareness. And awareness is what separates those who receive from those who miss what was meant for them. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of this moment and declares, be alert. Be still. Be prepared. For what comes tonight will not come again in the same way. The question is no longer if something is coming. The question is, will you recognize it when it arrives? Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2929 is now activated around your financial path. There is something you must understand before anything else unfolds. This courier is not random. This is not chance. This is not coincidence wrapped in mystery. This is assignment. This is orchestration. This is a movement authorized in the spiritual realm long before it manifests in your physical reality. And Archangel Michael is making it clear, what is being sent to you has already been approved in heaven. You keep asking yourself, who is this courier? But the truth is, you are asking the wrong question. Because it is not just about who is coming. It is about what they carry and why it has been entrusted to you now. Archangel Michael reveals that this courier operates between realms, not necessarily in appearance, but in purpose. They may look ordinary. They may sound familiar. They may even come through a situation that feels casual, almost easy to dismiss. But behind that ordinary appearance is a divine function. A mission that intersects directly with your financial path. This is how heaven often moves. Not with loud announcements, not with dramatic displays, but through moments that test your awareness. Through people who don't arrive wearing titles, but carry transformation in their presence. Through situations that look small yet hold the power to redirect your entire future. And here is what makes this moment so critical. This courier has been delayed. Yes, delayed. Not denied. Not canceled. But delayed because something in your life had to align first. Something in your mindset had to shift. Something in your spirit had to awaken. Because if this had come to you earlier, you might have ignored it. You might have doubted it. You might have let it pass without recognizing its value. But now you are different. Now, you are listening. Now you are aware. Now, you are ready to receive without dismissing. And that is why Archangel Michael says, the timing is no longer waiting on you. The moment has arrived. This courier has been observing your path from a distance, not physically watching you, but moving in alignment with the same timeline that has been guiding your journey. Their arrival is not sudden. It is synchronized. It is the intersection of two paths that were always meant to meet. And when they arrive, something within you will recognize it. Not logically at first, but spiritually. You will feel a shift in your attention, a pause in your thoughts, a subtle but undeniable awareness that this moment carries weight. That is your confirmation. Because the courier does not come empty-handed. They carry information. They carry opportunity. They carry a connection, a key, a redirection that touches your financial life in a way you did not expect. And here is where you must stay alert, because the delivery may not look like a gift. It may come as a conversation. It may come as a message. It may come as an idea suddenly presented to you. It may come as someone offering something that initially feels small, almost insignificant. But Archangel Michael warns you, do not measure this moment by appearance. Measure it by alignment. Measure it by how it connects to what you have been praying for. Measure it by how it answers questions you've been carrying in silence. Measure it by how it opens a door that was previously closed. Because what seems small in the moment may carry the blueprint for something massive. And now, there is something deeper being revealed. This courier was not just sent to you. They were sent for you. That means the message they carry is not general. It is specific. It is tailored. It is aligned with your financial situation, your struggles, your delays, and the breakthrough that has been waiting on the other side of your patience. This is why others around you may not understand. This is why it may not make sense to anyone else. Because it was never meant for them. It was meant for you. Archangel Michael stands firm in this moment and declares, do not let familiarity blind you. Do not let doubt silence you. And do not let hesitation delay what has already been released. Because hesitation is the only thing that can disrupt what is about to unfold. The courier will not force the message on you. The opportunity will not beg you to accept it. The moment will present itself and then it will move. And your response will determine everything. So you must stay grounded. You must stay present. You must stay open. Because tonight is not about waiting for something extraordinary to appear in an obvious way. It is about recognizing the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. This is how destinies shift. Vitally. Precisely. In moments most people overlook. But not you. Not this time. Because you have been warned. You have been prepared. And now you are being positioned to receive. Type I receive the message in the comments if you are ready. Blessing code 3737 is now activated over your financial alignment. There is a reason your finances have felt unstable, inconsistent, almost as if something was holding them in place, just out of reach of breakthrough. You have tried to move forward. You have made plans, taken steps, adjusted your mindset, even pushed yourself beyond your limits at times. And yet, something always seemed to interrupt the flow. Something always seemed to delay what should have progressed naturally. That was not your failure. That was not lack of effort. That was timing being restrained until this exact moment. Because what is about to happen is not a small adjustment. It is not a temporary improvement. It is not just another opportunity that comes and goes. Archangel Michael is revealing that what is coming carries the power to shift your financial trajectory permanently. Not instantly in appearance, but permanently in direction. There is a difference. Instant change fades. Directional change transforms everything. You have been operating in cycles. Yearn, spend, worry, repeat. Hope, plan, delay, restart. These cycles were not random. They were patterns formed through limitation, through external pressure, and through unseen resistance that kept you locked into survival instead of expansion. But tonight, that pattern is being interrupted. Not solely, not gradually, but decisively. The courier does not just bring a message. The courier brings a pivot point. A moment where your path splits. One direction leads back into the familiar. The same thinking, the same hesitation, the same patterns that kept you contained. The other direction leads into something unfamiliar, something that requires trust, awareness, and immediate recognition. And this is where everything changes, because most people choose comfort over transformation. But you are not being called to comfort. You are being called to alignment. Archangel Michael makes this clear. What is being delivered to you is not just about money. It is about access. Access to new thinking. Access to new connections. Access to a path that was previously hidden from you. And once that access is opened, your financial life will not return to what it was. At first, it may not feel overwhelming. It may not feel like a sudden flood of wealth. Instead, it will feel like clarity, a sudden understanding, a realization that something is now possible that previously felt blocked. That clarity is the beginning of your transformation. Because financial elevation does not start with money. It starts with awareness. It starts with seeing what others do not see, recognizing what others ignore, acting where others hesitate. And this is why the courier's message matters so much. It will carry something that activates that awareness within you. It will connect a missing piece. It will answer a question you have been carrying silently. It will show you a direction that aligns with your next level. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This is the moment where your mindset shifts from limitation to expansion, where your focus shifts from surviving to building, where your decisions begin to reflect possibility instead of fear. And that shift will begin to change everything around you. But there is something you must understand clearly. This change requires participation. It requires you to act. The message alone is not the transformation. What you do with it is. Archangel Michael warns that many receive moments like this but fail to move. They hesitate. They question. They wait for confirmation after confirmation until the moment passes. And when it passes, they return to the same cycle, wondering why nothing changed. That cannot be you. Not after this warning. Not after this preparation. Because what is being placed in front of you tonight will not stay there indefinitely. It will appear, it will present itself, and then it will move. And your response in that moment will determine whether this becomes a turning point or just another missed opportunity. You have felt the pressure building in your life, the desire for change, the frustration of delay, the quiet belief that something greater is possible for you. That belief was not placed inside you by accident. It was placed there because this moment was always coming, and now it is here. The financial shift is not something distant. It is not something reserved for the future. It is beginning now, in the moment you choose to recognize what is being delivered to you. So stay alert. Stay grounded. Stay ready to respond. Because what is about to enter your life is not just another chance. It is the beginning of a different financial reality. One that reflects alignment instead of struggle. One that moves with clarity instead of confusion. One that finally breaks the cycle you have been trying to escape. Archangel Michael declares, what was delayed is now being released. What was hidden is now being revealed. And what was meant for you is now within reach. The only question left is, will you take hold of it when it arrives? Type "I accept the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5555 is now activated over your finances. As this message reaches your spirit, understand this: every revelation you receive is not just for you. It is meant to become light for someone else still walking in darkness. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks with a PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are planting seeds into souls that are waiting for clarity, breakthrough, and divine direction. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not just written. It is alive. It is active. And it is speaking directly to you in this moment. I feel led to say this clearly. When you respond now, you are aligning yourself with the very flow of provision that heaven is releasing. This is not just support. This is participation in a greater assignment. Your seed becomes someone else's answered prayer. Your action becomes someone else's awakening. Do not delay this moment. Step into it with intention, release your seed, and watch how God multiplies it back into your life in ways you cannot predict. There is something you were never meant to fully see, not until now. While you were focusing on what was in front of you, trying to manage your responsibilities, your finances, your daily pressures, something else was unfolding quietly in the background. Something precise. Something intentional. Something that did not require your awareness to begin but now requires your awareness to complete. Because what is happening tonight did not begin tonight. It began long before this moment ever reached you. Archangel Michael reveals that there had been a period of preparation surrounding your life, a phase where things were being rearranged, removed, delayed, and redirected, not to harm you, but to position you. And this is the part that is difficult to accept, because during that preparation, it did not feel like positioning. It felt like loss. It felt like confusion. It felt like missed opportunities and unanswered questions. But what you were experiencing was not abandonment. It was alignment. There were connections that had to be broken because they could not go where you are about to go. There were opportunities that had to be withheld because they would have led you in the wrong direction. There were delays that had to happen because if things had moved faster, they would have collapsed under the weight of what you were not yet ready to handle. And you questioned it. You wondered why things were not working the way they should. You asked yourself why progress felt inconsistent, why results felt temporary, why every step forward seemed to come with resistance. But what you did not realize was that every delay was creating space. Every setback was redirecting your path. Every moment of uncertainty was clearing something that would have interfered with what is now about to arrive. This is what hidden preparation looks like. It does not feel comfortable. It does not feel rewarding. It feels like waiting without explanation. But now, the explanation is here. Archangel Michael is revealing that the reason the courier is arriving now is because everything that needed to be adjusted has reached completion. The timing is no longer being held back. The alignment is no longer being delayed. The path is now clear enough for the message to reach you without distortion. And that clarity is critical. Because if this moment had come earlier, it would have been filtered through confusion. It would have been influenced by fear. It would have been mixed with distractions that would have prevented you from seeing its true value. But now, you are in a different state. You are more aware. You are more observant. You are more sensitive to what feels aligned and what does not. That change in you is part of the preparation. You have been refined, not in a way that made life easier, but in a way that made you sharper, more aware of patterns, more conscious of timing, more capable of recognizing when something carries weight beyond its appearance. And now, that awareness becomes your advantage. Because what is coming tonight is not just about receiving something external. It is about recognizing something internal, the shift that has already happened within you, the growth that you may not have fully acknowledged, the readiness that has been built through every moment you thought was wasted. Nothing was wasted. Every delay had a purpose. Every obstacle had a function. Every moment of waiting was shaping your ability to respond when this moment finally arrived. And now, it has. But there is something else you must understand clearly. Hidden preparation also involves removal. There were things quietly taken out of your path that you may not even be aware of. Situations that could have distracted you. Connections that could have influenced your decisions. Opportunities that looked appealing but would have led you away from this exact moment. All of that was handled before you ever saw it. Because this moment had to be protected. It had to reach you without interference. It had to arrive when you were capable of recognizing it and responding correctly. And now that it is here, the preparation phase is ending. What comes next is action. What comes next is response. What comes next is the moment where everything that was built behind the scenes becomes visible through what you choose to do. Archangel Michael stands in this moment and declares, "You were being prepared while you thought you were being delayed. You were being positioned while you thought you were being held back. And now, what was hidden is ready to be revealed. So do not look back at the past with frustration. Look at it with understanding. Because every step, every delay, every moment of uncertainty has brought you to this exact point. A point where you are no longer waiting. A point where you are no longer guessing. A point where something real, something tangible, something aligned is about to enter your life. And when it does, you will not meet it as the person you were before. You will meet it as the person you have become through the preparation. Ready, aware, and capable of stepping into what is finally being placed in front of you. Type ISE the preparation in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6464 is now lining your path forward. There is a truth that many do not want to accept. Not every opportunity is meant for everyone, and not every moment is received by those who encounter it. Two people can stand in the exact same situation, hear the exact same words, see the exact same opening, and yet walk away with completely different outcomes. One recognizes it. One misses it. One acts. One hesitates. One steps forward. One stays where they are. And the difference between them is not luck. It is readiness. This is what Archangel Michael is revealing to you now. Tonight is not just a delivery. It is a test. A test of your awareness. A test of your discernment. A test of whether you have truly moved beyond the mindset that kept you stuck, or if you are still tied to the patterns that caused you to miss opportunities before. Because the courier will arrive, the message will be presented, but it will not announce itself in a way that forces you to respond. It will require you to recognize it, and that recognition is what separates those who receive from those who miss what was meant for them. You may be asking yourself, why would something so important not be obvious? Why would something that carries such a powerful shift not come in a way that makes it impossible to ignore? But this is where you must understand how alignment works. If everything was obvious, if every opportunity was clearly labeled, then there would be no need for awareness. There would be no need for growth. There would be no need for discernment. Everyone would receive the same results, regardless of their mindset or their readiness. But that is not how transformation works. Transformation requires participation. It requires you to be present enough to notice what others overlook. It requires you to be grounded enough to act when others hesitate. It requires you to be confident enough to move forward without waiting for everything to feel certain. And this is why not everyone will receive what is coming tonight. Some will see it and dismiss it. Some will hear it and question it. Some will feel it and ignore it, because they are not ready to move beyond what is familiar. They are not ready to trust what they cannot fully explain. They are not ready to step into something that requires immediate action instead of prolonged thinking. But you have been prepared for this. Every delay you experienced, every moment of frustration, every time you felt like you were being held back, all of it was shaping your readiness. All of it was teaching you to pay attention, to recognize patterns, to sense when something carries more weight than it appears. And now, that readiness is being tested. Archangel Michael says, you will know it by how it interrupts your normal thinking. That moment where you pause. That moment where something feels different. That moment where your attention locks in and you cannot easily move past it. That is your signal. That is the moment where you must decide whether you trust your awareness or return to hesitation. Because hesitation is what causes most people to miss their moment. They wait. They analyze. They delay their response until they feel completely certain. But by the time certainty arrives, the moment has already moved. And this is why timing matters. This is why readiness matters. Because what is coming will not remain available indefinitely. It will present itself. It will give you a window. And then it will move. And your ability to act within that window is what determines whether this becomes your turning point or just another moment you look back on later, wondering what would have happened if you had responded differently. But here is the deeper truth that Archangel Michael wants you to understand. Readiness is not about having everything figured out. It is about being willing to move forward even when you do not. It is about trusting that the clarity you need will come after you take the step, not before. It is about recognizing that waiting for perfect certainty is what has kept you in the same place. And tonight that pattern must break. Because the opportunity that is coming is not designed for hesitation. It is designed for movement. It is designed for those who are willing to trust what they feel in the moment and act on it. And that is why this message has come to you. Not to confuse you, not to overwhelm you, but to prepare you, to sharpen your awareness, to remind you that when the moment arrives, you must not shrink back into doubt. You must not return to overthinking. You must not allow fear to slow your response. You must move, because this is your test, not of your worth, not of your ability, but of your readiness to step into what has been waiting for you. Archangel Michael declares, the moment will come, the door will open, and your response will decide what happens next. So be present, be aware, be ready to recognize what others would overlook. Because this is not just another moment in your life. This is the moment that reveals whether you are truly prepared to receive what you have been asking for. Type I am ready to ACT in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7878 is now activating your awareness. There is something deeper attached to this moment, something that goes beyond a simple message, beyond a casual interaction, beyond what it may appear to be on the surface. Because what is being delivered to you tonight is not just information. It is not just opportunity. It is not just a passing encounter that you can take or leave without consequence. Archangel Michael reveals that what this courier carries is a form of agreement, a spiritual contract that connects your present moment to your future outcome. And this is where you must listen carefully. Because contracts are not always signed with paper and ink. Some are accepted through action. Some are activated through response. Some are confirmed the moment you say yes, even silently, even internally. The courier is bringing something that represents access. Access to a different level of financial movement, a different level of opportunity, a different level of alignment that you have not fully stepped into before. But access alone does not create change. Access must be accepted, and acceptance requires a decision. This is why this moment carries weight, because what is placed in front of you tonight will not just ask for your attention. It will require your agreement. Archangel Michael says, what is offered will match what has already been prepared for you, but it must be received with clarity, not confusion. And this is where many people falter. They receive the opportunity, but they hesitate to commit. They recognize the opening, but they delay their response. They feel the alignment, but they question it until the moment loses its power. And in doing so, they unintentionally reject what was meant to move them forward. But you must not do that, because what is being presented to you is not random. It has been aligned specifically with your path. It has been prepared in a way that connects directly to your financial shift. And when it arrives, it will feel like something that requires a step forward, a decision, a willingness to move beyond where you are. And that is where the contract is formed, not in words, but in action. The moment you choose to engage with what is presented, the moment you decide to explore it instead of dismissing it, the moment you allow yourself to move forward without needing complete certainty, that is when the agreement is activated. And once it is activated, something begins to shift. Doors that were previously closed begin to open. Paths that were unclear begin to reveal themselves. Connections that were out of reach begin to align. Not all at once, not in an overwhelming way, but in a sequence that begins to build momentum. This is how transformation starts. Through a single decision. Through a single moment where you choose to step into something instead of stepping back. And this is why this section matters so much. Because you must understand what you are agreeing to. You are not agreeing to risk. You are not agreeing to uncertainty. You are agreeing to alignment. You are agreeing to move in the direction that has already been prepared for you. You are agreeing to trust that the moment in front of you carries more than what is visible on the surface. And most importantly, you are agreeing to leave behind the hesitation that has kept you in the same place. Archangel Michael makes this clear. You have been waiting for confirmation, but the confirmation will come through your movement. That means you will not have every answer before you take the step. You will not see the full picture before you decide. You will not feel complete certainty before you act. But once you move, clarity will follow. And this is where your trust must come into play. Because the contract is not about blind faith. It is about informed awareness. You have been warned. You have been prepared. You have been made aware that something is coming and that it carries significance. That awareness is your foundation. That awareness is what allows you to recognize the moment when it arrives. And once you recognize it, your role is simple. Not easy, but simple. Respond. Engage. Zap forward. Because the contract does not wait indefinitely. It is presented. It is available. And then it moves. And those who hesitate too long find themselves watching the opportunity pass, trying to understand what they felt but did not act on. That cannot be your story. Not this time. Not after everything that has led to this moment. Because this is not just another opportunity. This is alignment meeting readiness. This is preparation meeting action. This is the moment where everything you have been moving toward finally reaches you in a form you can respond to. And when it does, you must not shrink back. You must not retreat into doubt. You must not allow overthinking to delay what has already been released. You must accept it. You must move with it. You must step into it. Because once you do, everything begins to change. Archangel Michael declares, what is offered to you carries the next chapter of your life. Accept it, and the path will unfold. Type I accept the contract in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9090 is now sealing your alignment. There is a reason this moment feels so intense, so charged, so different from anything you have experienced before. It is not just because something important is arriving. It is because something important is being contested. What you are stepping into tonight is not simply a moment of opportunity. It is the result of a battle that has been taking place around your life, specifically around your financial path, long before you became aware of it. Archangel Michael is revealing something that most people never consider. Whenever there is a shift of significance, there is resistance of equal intensity. Not to destroy you, but to delay you. Not to remove what is meant for you, but to distract you long enough for you to miss it yourself. And that is exactly what has been happening. Think about it. How many times have you been close to a breakthrough, only for something unexpected to interrupt it? How many times have you felt momentum building, only for confusion, doubt, or distraction to suddenly appear? How many times have you questioned your own instincts right at the moment when you should have trusted them the most? That was not random. That was resistance. Because what you are carrying, what is assigned to your life, what is aligned with your financial future, has always attracted opposition. Not because it is fragile, but because it is valuable. And anything of value creates movement. And movement creates attention. And attention invites interference. But here is what you must understand clearly. The resistance you have experienced up until now had been limited. It has been allowed only to test your awareness, not to stop your outcome. And now, that limit is being reached. Because this moment, this specific moment where the courier arrives, where the message is delivered, where the shift begins, this moment cannot be blocked anymore. It can only be missed. And that is where the battle shifts. It is no longer about stopping what is coming. It is about distracting you from recognizing it. Archangel Michael says, the interference will not come as force. It will come as noise. Noise in your thoughts. Noise in your environment. Noise in your focus. Suddenly, you may feel distracted. Suddenly, your attention may be pulled in multiple directions. Suddenly, something that seemed important before may try to take priority over what is actually happening in front of you. That is not coincidence. That is the final attempt to pull your awareness away from the moment that matters. Because if your attention is divided, your recognition weakens. If your focus is scattered, your response delays. And if your response delays, the moment moves. That is how blessings are missed. Not by force, but by distraction. This is why Archangel Michael is calling you to a different level of presence tonight. Not passive awareness, but active awareness. Not casual observation, but intentional attention. You must be grounded enough to notice when something tries to pull you away from what matters. You must be steady enough to stay focused when everything around you feels slightly off. Because the opposition is subtle. It does not announce itself. It does not make itself obvious. It operates through small shifts, a thought that causes doubt, a distraction that feels urgent, a moment that pulls your attention just long enough for you to overlook something important. And this is where your awareness becomes your defense. Because once you recognize the pattern, it loses its power. Once you notice the distraction, it no longer controls your focus. Once you stay present despite the noise, the moment remains clear. And that clarity is what protects your blessing. Archangel Michael stands firmly and declares, what is yours has already been released. But you must remain present to receive it. That means you do not need to fight. You do not need to resist aggressively. You do not need to push against anything. You simply need to remain aware. Because awareness neutralizes distraction. Presence eliminates confusion. Focus secures the moment. And when you stay in that state, nothing can pull you away from what is being delivered to you. This is the final stage of the battle. Not a battle of force, but a battle of attention. And the outcome depends on where you place your focus. So tonight, you must choose. Will you allow your attention to scatter? Will you allow small distractions to take priority? Will you allow doubt to slow your response? Or will you stay present, stay aware, and recognize the moment when it arrives? Because the courier is coming. The message is real. The shift is ready. But your awareness, your focus, your presence is what determines whether you step into it or let it pass. Archangel Michael declares, the battle is not around you anymore. It is within your attention. Guard it, and you will receive what is yours. And now, everything depends on your ability to stay grounded in the moment that is about to unfold. Type I guard my focus in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2222 is now strengthening your awareness. Here is a moment approaching quiet, subtle, almost unannounced, and yet it carries more weight than anything that has come before it. This is the moment Archangel Michael has been pointing toward, the exact point where everything you have heard begins to take form in your reality. But here is what you must understand clearly: it will not arrive the way you expect. The mind often imagines something dramatic, a loud interruption, a clear declaration, something impossible to ignore. But this is not how this moment will come. The delivery will be simple. The presentation will be ordinary. And that is precisely why it is so easy to overlook. Archangel Michael says, the door will not shake. The voice will not shout. But the moment will carry undeniable weight. And this is where your awareness must sharpen more than ever before. Because the door knock is not always a literal knock. It may be a message that appears at a time you were not expecting. It may be a conversation that begins casually but shifts into something significant. It may be an idea that enters your mind with unusual clarity. It may be a person reaching out in a way that feels slightly different than before. And in that moment, everything will seem normal on the surface, but something inside you will pause. That pause is your signal. That moment where your attention locks in, where your thoughts slow down, where you feel a subtle shift in your awareness, that is where the message is embedded. Because the courier does not force recognition. The courier presents the opportunity and allows you to identify. And here is the part that requires your full attention. You will be tempted to dismiss it. You will be tempted to say, "This is nothing." You will be tempted to delay your response. You will be tempted to come back to it later. But Archangel Michael warns, later is where moments disappear. Because the window of alignment exists in the present, not in the future. Not after you have had time to think about it endlessly, but in the exact moment it arrives. And this is why you must not hesitate. Because hesitation is the gap where recognition fades. You may not have all the answers when it comes. You may not fully understand why it matters. But you will feel that it does. And that feeling is enough. Awareness is enough. That is what you must trust. Because what is being delivered is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to guide you. It is meant to direct your next step. And that step may seem small at first. Responding to a message, continuing a conversation, exploring an idea, accepting an invitation. But within that small step is a larger movement, a movement that begins to shift your financial direction in ways that are not immediately visible. This is how change enters your life, not all at once, but through a moment that leads to a step, that leads to a path, that leads to a transformation. And it all begins with recognition. Archangel Michael reveals that the reason this moment is so subtle is because it filters out distraction. It filters out those who are not paying attention. It filters out those who are not ready to respond. But you are not here by accident. You have been prepared for this exact moment. You have been warned so that you do not overlook it. So that when it arrives, you do not treat it as ordinary. So that when it presents itself, you do not delay. Because delay is the only thing that can cause you to miss what has already been aligned for you. And now, the moment is close. Closer than you think. Closer than you expect. Archangel Michael says, when it comes, it will feel familiar yet different. Ordinary yet significant, small yet powerful, and that contrast is your confirmation. That is how you will know, not through external validation, but through internal recognition. So remain still, remain aware, remain present in your environment, in your thoughts, in your interactions, because the door knock is not something you will search for. It is something that will come to you. And when it does, everything you have heard until now will make sense. Everything will connect. Everything will align. And you will realize this was the moment you were being prepared for all along. A moment where the unseen becomes seen. A moment where the shift begins. A moment where your financial path changes direction. Archangel Michael declares, do not overlook the knock. for within it is the beginning of what you have been waiting for. Type "I will recognize IT" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8080 is now opening your awareness. As this revelation settles into your spirit, understand this truth: every door that opens in your life was first unlocked through obedience, and every seed you release becomes a key in someone else's breakthrough. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description or QR code on your screen, you are not giving away. You are sowing into a river that carries light into lives still searching for direction. The Lord speaks even now: as you sow, so shall you reap. And this is not distant scripture. It is a living promise moving through this very moment. I feel this deeply. Your action right now is not small. It is prophetic. It is alignment with a very flow of provision that is being activated over your life. When you release your seed, you become part of the message reaching the one who is still waiting for their answer. Do not hesitate. Step into this moment with certainty, give with intention, and watch how heaven responds to your obedience. It will be a moment, a very specific moment, where everything you have been hearing, everything you have been feeling, everything you have been preparing for suddenly becomes real. Not theoretical, not imagined, not something you are waiting on anymore, but something directly in front of you, asking for your response. And in that exact moment, nothing else will matter more than the decision you make. This is the decision point. Archangel Michael is very clear about this. The moment will not wait for you to feel ready. It will require you to respond as you are. And that is where most people hesitate. They wait to feel certain. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel fully prepared. But by the time those feelings arrive, the moment has already moved on. Because the decision point is not about comfort. It is about alignment. You will feel two forces within you at the same time. One will be familiar, the voice of hesitation, the voice that tells you to slow down, to think more, to wait, to question whether this is truly the right move. That voice is comfortable because it is known. It is the same voice that has kept you safe, but also the same voice that has kept you in the same place. The other will feel different, quieter but stronger. It will not argue. It will not explain everything. It will simply pull you forward. That is the voice you must follow, because that is the voice of alignment. Archangel Michael says, the right decision will not always feel safe, but it will feel clear. And clarity does not always come with explanation. Sometimes it comes as a knowing, a moment where something inside you says, this matters. That is the moment where you must act, not after you overanalyze, not after you seek external validation, but in the moment itself. Because this is what determines everything. The courier brings the message. The opportunity presents itself, but the outcome is determined by your response. And here is what you must understand clearly. There is no neutral decision. You are either moving forward or you are staying where you are. You are either stepping into the shift or allowing it to pass. And that is why this moment carries so much weight. Because it does not repeat itself in the same way. Archangel Michael reveals, moments of alignment are windows. They open, they invite, and then they close. And once they close, the same exact alignment does not return. Another opportunity may come in the future, but it will not carry the same timing, the same positioning, the same preparation that exists right now. This is why you cannot afford to hesitate. This is why you cannot afford to doubt yourself in that moment. Because you have already been prepared. You have already been made aware. You have already been guided to this point. Now, all that remains is your decision. And your decision does not have to be perfect. It does not have to guarantee success in your mind. It simply has to be movement. Because movement activates momentum. Movement opens the next step. Movement allows what has been prepared to begin unfolding. And once that unfolding begins, everything starts to shift. Your perspective changes. Your opportunities expand. Your financial path begins to move in a direction that no longer feels restricted. But it all begins with that single decision. That moment where you choose to move instead of wait. To act instead of delay. To trust instead of doubt. Archangel Michael declares, "You have asked for change. Now the moment to choose it has arrived. So when it comes, do not overthink it. Do not step back. Do not return to the patterns that kept you in place. Step forward. Respond. Engage with what is being presented to you. Because this is your turning point. This is the moment where everything you have been waiting for meets your willingness to receive it. And once you make that decision, there is no going back to who you were before. Because you will have crossed into something new. Something aligned. Something that begins to reshape your financial reality from that moment forward. The decision point is not coming in the future. It is arriving with the message. And when it does, you must be ready to choose. Type "I choose to move" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9393 is now activating your courage. There comes a point where a single moment begins to ripple outward, touching every area of your life in ways you could not have predicted. This is that point. What begins tonight will not remain contained within one decision, one interaction, or one opportunity. It will begin to expand. It will begin to connect. It will begin to move through your life in a way that gradually, but undeniably, changes your financial reality. Archangel Michael is revealing something critical here. Transformation is not always explosive in the beginning. It is often subtle. It starts as a shift in direction rather than a sudden arrival at a destination. And that is exactly how this will unfold for you. At first, you may notice something small, a new way of thinking, a new connection forming, a new path opening that did not exist before. And it may not seem overwhelming in that moment. It may not feel like the breakthrough you imagined. But that is because you are looking at the beginning of a process, not the final outcome. And this process, once it starts, does not reverse. That is what makes it permanent. Because what is changing is not just your income. It is your alignment with how income flows into your life. Up until now, you have been operating within limits that felt fixed. You worked within certain expectation, certain pattern, certain cycle that repeated themselves. And no matter how much effort you put in, those cycles kept bringing you back to the same place. That cycle is what is being broken. And when a cycle breaks, something new replaces it. A new pattern, a new rhythm, a new way of approaching opportunities, decisions, and financial movement. Archangel Michael says, you will begin to see differently, and because you see differently, you will act differently. And because you act differently, your results will change. This is the transformation. Not just external, but internal. You will begin to recognize opportunities faster. You will begin to trust your instincts more. You will begin to move with less hesitation and more clarity. And those small shifts will start to compound. Because every decision you make from this point forward will be influenced by the awareness that is being activated in you right now. Awareness is what creates momentum. And momentum is what creates growth. You will start to notice that things no longer feel as blocked as they once did. Where there was resistance, there will be movement. Where there was confusion, there will be direction. Where there was delay, there will be progress. And it will not feel forced. It will feel natural. Because you are no longer pushing against misalignment. You are moving with alignment. And that changes everything. Archangel Michael reveals that this shift will also affect how others respond to you. Opportunities that once felt out of reach will begin to come closer. Conversations that once led nowhere will begin to open doors. Situations that once felt uncertain will begin to show clear paths forward. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. And when you change, the way you interact with everything around you changes as well. This is why this moment is so important. Because it marks the beginning of that transformation. The moment where you step out of one pattern and into another. The moment where your financial path begins to move in a new direction. And once that direction is set, it continues. It builds. It expands. And over time, it creates results that reflect the shift that began with a single decision. But there is something else you must understand. This transformation requires consistency. Not perfection. Not constant success. But consistent movement. Because once you begin this process, you must continue to respond to the opportunities that follow. You must continue to act on the awareness that is being activated within you. You must continue to trust the direction you are being guided toward. Because transformation is not a single moment. It is a series of aligned decisions that build upon each other. And tonight is the first of those decisions. Archangel Michael stands in this moment and declares, "What begins now will not return to what it was. The path has shifted. The cycle has broken. And your future is moving in a new direction. So do not expect everything to change instantly. Expect everything to begin changing. Because that is how permanence is created. Not through a sudden event, but through a shift that continues to grow, expand, and reshape your reality over time. And that shift has already begun. Type "My life is shifting" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activating your transformation. There is something that must be said with complete clarity, not to create fear, not to pressure you, but to bring you into full awareness of the weight of this moment. Because just as there is a path forward, there is also a path of inaction. Just as there is a decision to move, there is also a decision to remain still. And both decisions carry consequences. Archangel Michael does not speak this part lightly. He says, "A moment ignored does not disappear, it simply passes." And that is where many people misunderstand how opportunity works. I believe that if they miss something, it will come back in the same way, at the same time, with the same clarity. But that is not how alignment functions. When a moment arrives, it is tied to a specific timing, a specific preparation, a specific positioning that cannot be recreated exactly as it was. If you ignore it, you do not just lose the moment. You lose the alignment attached to it. And that is what makes this warning so important. Because ignoring does not always look like rejection. Sometimes it looks like hesitation. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like saying, "I will come back to this later." But later is where alignment dissolves. Later is where clarity fades. Later is where doubt grows stronger than the initial awareness you felt in the moment. And once that happens, the opportunity no longer feels the same. It no longer carries the same urgency. It no longer connects in the same way. Because the window has shifted. Archangel Michael reveals something that many people never realize. When you ignore a moment of alignment, you do not return to the same starting point. You return to a version of your path that requires rebuilding momentum again. And that rebuilding takes time that could have been used to move forward. This is why some people feel stuck, not because nothing was ever presented to them, but because they did not act when it was. And over time, those missed moments accumulate. They create patterns of delay. They reinforce hesitation. They build a cycle where the individual begins to doubt their own ability to recognize opportunity at all. But that is not your path. Not anymore. Because you have been made aware. You have been prepared. You have been shown what to look for and how to respond. So if this moment is ignored, it will not be because you did not know. It will be because you chose not to act. And that choice is what this warning is here to prevent. Archangel Michael says, do not let familiarity keep you where you are when transformation is within reach. Because the greatest risk is not making the wrong decision. The greatest risk is making no decision at all. Remaining in the same place. Repeating the same patterns. Continuing the same cycle that you have already outgrown. And that is what ignoring this moment leads to. Not immediate loss, but continued stagnation, continued delay, continued repetition of what you have been trying to break free from. And the truth is you already feel that. You already know what it feels like to stay in the same cycle. You already know the frustration of knowing something needs to change, but not seeing how it will happen. This moment is the answer to that. But only if you engage with it. Only if you respond. Only if you choose to step into it instead of stepping back. Because the path forward is not forced upon you. It is offered it. And your response determines whether it becomes your reality. Archangel Michael declares, the door will open, but you must walk through it. And walking through it requires courage. It requires trust. It requires a willingness to move even when everything is not fully clear. But that is what separates transformation from stagnation. That is what separates those who move forward from those who remain where they are. So understand this clearly. Ignoring this moment does not protect you. It does not keep you safe. It keeps you the same. And you were not brought to this point to remain the same. You were brought here to shift, to move, to step into something that had been waiting for you. So when the moment comes, do not delay. Do not hesitate. Do not allow doubt to override the awareness you feel. Because this is not just another moment. This is the moment that determines whether everything begins to change or stays exactly as it has been. Type I will not miss this in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3333 is now protecting your decision. This is the moment where everything comes together, not in theory, not in imagination, but in truth. You have been guided through awareness, prepared through understanding, and positioned through timing. And now, you stand at the edge of what Archangel Michael calls a sealed moment, a moment where heaven has done its part. And now your path opens based on what you choose to do next. There is no confusion left. There is no uncertainty about what this moment represents. This is the threshold, the dividing line between who you have been and who you are becoming. Archangel Michael speaks now with authority, not as a suggestion, not as a possibility, but as a declaration. What has been assigned to you cannot be taken, but it must be received. And this is the final truth you must hold on to. Nothing that is meant for you has been lost. Nothing that is aligned with your path has been canceled. Everything has been waiting for the exact moment where you are ready to step into it. And that moment is now. Tonight is not just about a courier. It is not just about a message. It is about activation. It is about the point where everything shifts from preparation into reality. Because once you recognize the moment, once you respond, once you move, something locks into place. A new level of alignment. A new level of clarity. A new level of financial movement that begins to unfold in ways you cannot yet fully see. This is why Archangel Michael calls this a seal. Because once this moment is accepted, once you step into it, your path does not return to what it was. The hesitation you once carried begins to fade. The confusion that once surrounded your decisions begins to clear. The delays that once defined your financial journey begin to dissolve. And in their place something stronger emerges. Your vision, confidence, momentum. You will begin to feel it almost immediately. A sense that something has shifted. A sense that you are no longer waiting but moving. A sense that what once felt distant is now within reach. And that feeling is not temporary. It is confirmation. Confirmation that you have crossed into alignment. Archangel Michael says, you will know it not by what you see immediately, but by what you feel within you. Because internal change always precedes external results. First, your awareness shifts. Then, your decisions shift. Then, your results follow. And once that sequence begins, it continues. That is the power of this moment. That is why it has been protected. That is why it has been prepared. That is why it has been delivered to you with such urgency. Because it carries the beginning of everything you have been asking for. But here is the final piece you must understand. This blessing does not end tonight. This is only the starting point. What you do after this moment matters just as much as what you do within it. You must continue to act with awareness. You must continue to move with alignment. You must continue to trust the direction that begins to unfold. Because this is not a single step. This is a path that leads you into a different level of financial stability, growth, and opportunity. And that path is now open. Archangel Michael stands over this moment and declares, the door is open. The path is clear. The assignment is complete. Now walk forward and receive what has been prepared for you. So do not look back. Do not question what you already feel. Do not allow doubt to return once you have recognized the truth. Stand in it. Move with it. Accept it fully. Because this is your moment. Your turning point. Your beginning. And everything from this point forward will reflect the decision you make now. Type I receive my destiny in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7777 is now sealing your financial path. As this final word settles into your spirit, hear this clearly: every message you receive is a seed of light, and every seed you release becomes a harvest in someone else's darkness. When you give through Super Thanks with a PayPal link in the description or QR code, you are not supporting a video. You are fueling a divine assignment that reaches souls standing at their own turning point. The Lord declares, cast your bread upon the waters, and it shall return to you. And this is not distant scripture. It is alive in your obedience right now. I feel this strongly. Your action in this moment is not optional. It is prophetic alignment with the very flow of provision being released over your life. As you sow, heaven responds. As you give, doors begin to open. This is your moment to act, to release, to participate in something greater than yourself. Step forward now, give with intention, and watch how God multiplies your seed beyond what you can imagine.